Adidas thinks this is the future, while Puma thinks this is the future, and then Under Armour thinks this is the future. I want to start off this video by having you guys vote because I am genuinely curious about what the public response is to this particular shoe. So there'll be a little pop-up poll in the corner of the screen. And I want you guys to vote yes or no. Are you legitimately interested in the Puma Future as your potential next pair of boots? Is it a shoe that you would genuinely consider buying based on what you've seen so far? Yes or no? Really curious to hear your answers. What's up guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you a video today to share my thoughts and initial impressions on the newly unveiled Puma Future, a boot that is supposed to be available, or at least available for pre-order, on November 22nd, very shortly. Anyways, this shoe is interesting because as you can see by the pictures, it utilizes Puma's Netfit technology, which we have seen before from Puma for basically the last year and a half on running shoes, training shoes, even on some indoor soccer models, but we're finally seeing it implemented in a soccer cleat type application. And really, I think the concept, the idea of having this Netfit system, which essentially allows for unlimited possibilities in regards to how you lace up the shoes, is an excellent idea for the sake of comfort, customization in the fit, and just general performance, all of which I want to talk about and more in today's video. I know a lot of you guys have been asking me about the Puma Future. I do not have them yet. I'm hoping to get them as soon as possible, but if you want to hear my initial impressions, that's what we're talking about today. Before we get into the future, I want to talk about my recent criticism of Puma because I have been quite harsh. When they first unveiled the Puma 1, which was their last brand new shoe, I immediately made a video saying that this shoe was not going to be successful, mainly based on the fact that it was just super uninteresting and not what I thought people were looking for in 2017. And I would say that prediction, for the most part, has pretty much come true. And even once I actually had the opportunity to try the shoes, because obviously I can't review them prior to trying them out, same thing goes for this Puma Future that I'm talking about. Once I had the chance to try them, I was unimpressed. I just didn't think it was a good option for your money if you're gonna spend $200, $300 on a pair of top-end boots. There are better options out there. In the case of the Puma Future though, I'm kind of thinking the exact opposite of what I thought with the Puma 1, and I really do hope that people give this Puma Future a fair shake because I think this concept is absolutely brilliant. Now, if you regularly watch the channel, you may have seen my recent review of this particular Puma indoor model featuring their Netfit technology. If you haven't seen this video, I'll leave a pop-up on screen. Be sure to go ahead and check it out because this is the same technology we're gonna be seeing on the Puma Future. Basically, this netting you see on the surface of the upper, every single hole within this net acts as a lacing position, so you can create your own custom lacing system. Now this might seem like kind of a gimmicky thing if you think about it at first, but it actually makes a lot of sense. And if it's anything like what I've tried on that particular indoor shoe, as well as various different runners and trainers with Netfit technology from the Puma brand, this is an excellent idea from the standpoint of getting the best possible fit out of a pair of soccer cleats. And you can talk about performance characteristics and performance technology all you want, but the number one thing is the fit. If the fit is off, almost nothing else matters. And if you can get the fit exactly right, have that extreme level of adjustability that a custom lacing system would have on offer, the comfort's gonna be better, the lockdown's gonna be better, the responsiveness is gonna be better. You're gonna have that more connected sensation to the shoe, a custom fit, if you will, which has kind of always been the differentiator between what we can buy at the store as average consumers and what professional players actually get in the form of actually custom made shoes. So I think this concept, if it works out the way that I think it's going to work out, because I do trust Puma from a quality and performance standpoint, because they are capable of making some excellent products, I think this Puma Future really could be the future of the Puma brand and maybe even what we'll see from other brands in the future as well. My major concern for the Puma Future and really the success of the Puma Future is the fact that the technology that's introduced on this model is the exact opposite of what's trending and popular right now with the Adidas brand. And obviously they're competing against Nike as well, but I don't see Nike getting away from lacing systems anytime soon, if ever. But obviously with Adidas, they have the Pure Control, which I'm holding here as an example, and they have the Nemesis 17 Plus 360 agility. technically the Adidas glitch as well, but that's not really readily available to most of the world. But these two models, they are popular. The sales aren't there as of late. The hype seems to be dying down on them a little bit, but because of the fact that they're laceless, people do get excited about trying these out, which is why they've been so successful for Adidas. Now, if you regularly watch my channel, you know that I've been highly critical of laceless boots from the Adidas brand. The fact that you don't have any adjustability being the big thing, and then the second big thing being the fact that because you don't have that adjustability and because it has to be an elasticated laceless system, you lose out on responsiveness, you lose out on lockdown inside of the shoe, which for me personally, I just don't care for. In the case of the Pure Control, I think you actually end up with more bulk and a much more rigid and stiff upper than if the shoe were to just have laces like we see in the form of the Ace 17.1. And in the case of the Nemesis, it's very not bulky in terms of the laceless system, but there's also not a lot there to hold your foot in place. It's structurally not the most sound shoe in the world, which again, I'm personally not a huge fan of, not to mention that it really has to fit your foot perfectly in order to work properly, and most people are not going to be able to get the perfect fit out of these laceless boots. But with the Puma Future, because of this Netfit system, because of the fact you're basically going to be able to choose where the laces are and where the laces aren't, or have the laces all over, you're going to be able to play around with the customization of what parts of the upper are tight, which part of the upper is looser, where you're getting the responsiveness, where you're getting the structure, where you're gonna leave it a little bit more open to have maybe a little bit more expansion. It's a level of adjustability that we've really never seen before from a shoe that you can buy off the shelf. And again, I haven't tried them yet. I don't know that this is legitimately that good, but if the concept works the way that I think it's going to work, this could be really revolutionary in terms of how well a soccer shoe can fit without actually being custom made for your feet. So I'm very, very optimistic, but because of the fact that it is using an old school technology like laceless, rather than being laceless, which is kind of the new latest trend, people are going to be afraid to give it a try. But guys, I'm not saying go buy them the second that they're available, but wait for my review. If it does end up being as good as I think it's going to be, this might be a shoe that you want to consider as your next pair of boots. And if you really are stuck on buying Adidas and Nike, if this shoe is as good as I think it is, I really do hope that people give it a chance, because that often ends up being the case with the Puma brand and a lot of smaller brands in general. Even though they make a really good product, people are unwilling to give it a try. Other aspects of the Puma Future that you can see and are worth talking about is the stud pattern. The stud pattern looks to have kind of a toe pick stud, almost like an American football cleat. A lot of you guys pointed this out to me based on the pictures that were posted on various different forms of social media from Puma. But I'm not too concerned about this. We have seen stuff like this before from soccer brands. The one that comes to mind immediately when I saw that was the original New Balance Vizaro, and really that didn't get in the way at all. And it looks like it's pushed far enough back to where it's not going to be an issue. But it is interesting that it has all conical studs. So it's going to have a slightly more traditional stud pattern, which could work for or against Puma. I think more people would probably be interested in something a little bit more modern, but again, they're choosing to go in that direction for the stud pattern itself. So I'm not sure it's gonna be anything groundbreaking, but I'm sure it'll function just based on the fact that it is kind of a more classic layout for the most part, of course. As far as the upper itself is concerned, I'm curious to see what the finish is going to be like on the netted material over top of the upper, if it's gonna have any kind of like a rubberiness to it. The ones on these indoors aren't really rubbery. It's kind of just almost like a nylon material. So it's relatively slick against the ball. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be different on the actual Future soccer cleat. The other thing that I'm sure a lot of people are going to be concerned about is durability. But honestly, guys, given that the shoes fit you properly, the Netfit system will fit quite snug around your foot based on how they look. It doesn't look like it's a lot of excess material. So I don't foresee ripping being a problem whatsoever. The material underneath is fairly unknown. We can definitely tell that the middle part, as well as the little collar, is their Evo knit material, kind of like Flyknit from Nike or Prime Knit from Adidas, an elasticated knitted kind of sock-like material. And the cut of the collar I definitely think is interesting. I think it looks cool. Reminds me a little bit of what we got already from Puma in the form of the Evo Touch, which is obviously no longer a thing. So curious to see how that's going to feel. And really the only other thing, I guess, would be the weight of the shoe. I expect them to be relatively lightweight. I would be happy if they weigh in at right around 7 to 7.5 ounces. I think that's competitive with other shoes in that particular price range. And then speaking of price, that's gonna be probably the most important factor here, because I really hope that Puma doesn't overprice these shoes meaning that they can't be at the same $300 as Nike and Adidas. I understand that the shoe's probably going to be just as good, the quality is going to be just as good, but because it's Puma, because it's a brand that not everybody is willing to take a chance on, even though they have been around for such a long time, I really feel like they have to be closer to $200 rather than at $300. If they're $300, most people just aren't gonna give them a go, but if they're at $200 full retail, I think that more people will be willing to give it a shot, and I think that's the direction that they need to go. If they can build some popularity on this first generation of the Puma Future, then maybe on the next model, once they have kind of a fan base following for that particular shoe, then you can try and up the price a little bit. But I think for them, it's gonna be difficult to introduce a new concept like this at that top level price point. If they do that, quite honestly, I just think it'll be a mistake. Just a few other things to add. We don't know details on all of this as of yet. I'm not sure what exactly the Puma Future is replacing, if anything. I think it's replacing the Evo Power line, and it'll be alongside the Puma ones for now. But again, that's unconfirmed information. And we also don't know at this point if it's only going to be the top end model with the Netfit technology. If they trickle this down to takedown models, I think that could potentially be a good thing, but it also could hurt the sales of the top end shoe because people won't be willing to pay the higher price if they're still getting the Netfit system, which I think is what most people who are going to buy this shoe are gonna buy it for that particular reason. So that'll be really interesting to see as well. But that's pretty much it, guys. Those are my thoughts. I'm really excited to try these out. I'm gonna work on getting them in as soon as I possibly can. But I want you guys to leave your opinions down below in the comment section. Are you excited about the Puma Future? Is it a shoe that you would legitimately be interested in purchasing? And if you would be, what would be a price that you think would be acceptable for Puma to release this brand new concept at? So those are my thoughts. Any questions, leave them down below. I'll get an answer out to you as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks for watching.